Everything you were taught about money starts with a lie. They tell you a simple story. Barter first, then money. Sounds innocent, but money wasn't created to make trade easier. It was created to manage people. The story you were taught about money is wrong. They say first there was barter, then money appeared. It's told like an innocent story. But the truth is this: money did not emerge to make trade easier. It emerged to manage people. And the moment you realize this, you can never look at money, debt, and power the same way again. Most of us grew up with the same simple story about money. They say, long ago people used to barter. A farmer had wheat but needed shoes. A shoemaker had shoes but wanted meat. Barter was hard, slow, and inefficient. Then someone came up with a brilliant idea. Money. Coins appeared. Trade became easier. Civilization moved forward. A clean story, logical, comforting, and largely wrong. Money did not emerge because barter was inconvenient. Money emerged because power needed a tool. And once that tool existed, it never stopped shaping who controlled value, where labor flowed, and how violence was organized. Welcome to History and Economics. This is where money, power, and history intersect. And here, nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Before money, most societies were not actually operating on barter. In small communities, people didn't constantly negotiate, you give me this, I give you that. They relied on memory, trust, and mutual obligation. You gave because you belonged. You received because you were known. Debts were not written down. They were kept in minds. Value was not abstract. It was tied to people, relationships, and reputation. This system worked well as long as society stayed small. But when things began to grow, everything changed. Populations increased. Villages turned into cities. Trade moved beyond familiar faces. And suddenly strangers appeared. No shared past, no shared memory, no trust. This is where the problem began. Trust didn't scale. Memory wasn't enough. Obligations broke down. Violence became more frequent. And rulers faced a problem that barter could never solve. How do you feed an army that doesn't know you? How do you tax people you will never see again? How do you extract value from a population spread across a vast territory? This is where money enters the picture, not as a convenience but as infrastructure. For value to move across distance, it needed a body. Something durable, portable, divisible. Something that could be counted without conversation and trusted without memory. Food spoiled. Animals ran away. Land didn't move. Labor disappeared the moment it was used. Metal solved this problem. Copper, bronze, silver. Not because they were shiny, but because they were resilient under pressure. They didn't rot. They could be melted and reshaped. They could be divided into small units. And they were scarce enough to matter, but common enough to circulate. Metal didn't just store value. It made value mobile. But it wasn't merchants who turned metal into money. It was states. Early civilizations didn't need money to trade with each other. What they needed was obedience. Armies don't fight on promises. Soldiers don't march on goodwill. They demand payment, and that payment must be standardized, recognizable, and enforceable. Metal made this possible. The moment states said, taxes must be paid in metal, everything changed. People who had previously lived outside markets were forced into them. Subsistence became obligation. Harvests became debt. To obtain metal, people had to sell their goods, their labor, or their time. Markets didn't emerge naturally. They were created by taxation and power. Money didn't free people from rulers. It made rulers more efficient. This part is rarely taught in history books. Money was not neutral. It was not invented to make trade easier between equals. It was designed to measure, extract, and redistribute value. And once value could be extracted, it could be stored. Once it could be stored, it could accumulate. And once it accumulated, it could turn into power. That's why the first financial centers were not marketplaces. They were temples, palaces. Accounting existed before money. Ledgers were kept before markets. The system was built from the top down, not from the bottom up. Then came a bigger leap. Metal was useful, but stamped metal was revolutionary. When states stamped metal with symbols, faces, and authority, they were saying this: you don't need to trust the person giving this to you. You only need to trust the mark on it. Authority replaced relationship. Coins carried gods. They carried emperors. They carried power. Every transaction carried a message. Who controls this system? And rulers realized something critical. If you control money, you control the system. How much exists, how pure it is, how it circulates. Then this trick was discovered. A little less silver, a few more coins. Spending became easier. Consequences were delayed. Inflation is not new. It began the moment money became adjustable. Prices rose. Trust declined. Soldiers demanded higher pay. But the system continued. Because once money existed, there was no going back. It was too useful, too powerful. And here is the key point. Money did not evolve independently of power. It evolved alongside power. Today, we no longer carry bronze coins, but the logic is the same. We still trust authority. We still accept abstraction. We still live inside systems where value flows upward. The material changed. The logic did not. Money reorganized behavior. It made power patient. Power that can be accumulated is silent power. That's why monetary systems outlive rulers. Kings fall. Empires collapse. But money remains. It only changes faces. And when you look at modern money today, you see this. No metal, but authority, taxes, debt, obligation. We call it liquidity. We call it balance sheets. We call it institutions. But the mechanism is the same. Money did not evolve to be fair. It evolved to manage large systems. This is not a conspiracy. It's history. Once you understand this, you see inflation, debt, and crises differently. These are not mistakes. They are natural outcomes of the system. Real freedom doesn't come from rejecting money. It comes from understanding what money can do and what it never could. Money moves value, but it doesn't move justice. And the most dangerous assumption is this, that money is neutral. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it continues to run on the same logic. And once you see that logic clearly, you stop asking, why is it like this? You start asking a better question. Where do I stand inside this system?